Alright, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Dillo Pillow, and today I'm going to be doing an album review of the new Lana Del Rey album, Chemtrails Over the Country Club. Before we get into this, there will be more Lana Del Rey content in the next week, so look out for that. Also, you probably have never seen me do an album review video if you are a Lana Del Rey fan and you're new to the channel. This is kind of just an opportunity for me to take a deeper dive into the music, talk about the different elements of it, what I think is good about it, stuff like that. Give it an actual review and just talk about the music instead of me just reacting to it. Also gives me the opportunity to kind of put a score on it and share with you guys how I compare it to other albums that I listen to. This is a lot different than a lot of the music that I listen to personally, so it may be a little harder for me to actually accurately almost explain this album, but it'll be unbiased opinion. This is what my thoughts, since I don't know a ton of music like this. I think it's pretty, nice to hear a different viewpoint. But yeah, feel free to let me know how you feel about it in the comments if you think I'm wrong or anything like that. But yeah, I'm going to go through, talk about each track individually, and then wrap it up with some overall thoughts and put a score on it. So let's jump into it. So coming into this, you guys know, you've seen all the reaction videos. I've done reaction to all of her albums, so I have heard them all. And I knew that this would be fairly unpredictable. You can't really pinpoint what's going to be on a Lana Del Rey album, which is a good thing. The singles work a little bit on the slower side, so we knew that kind of was going to be a theme here, which we did see for sure. Also noticed right away 45-minute length. I was like, that's pretty short for her. So that was interesting. Starting off with the first track, White Dress. Awesome opening track. Definitely sets the mood for what's going forward on this album. The delivery is amazing. It's emotional. Great storytelling as well to kind of talk about her younger self. I was told in the comments of the reaction video that this was kind of about a younger version of her that actually was truthful. This is a real story about her, it seems, and that's nice. And it also draws you in, you're literally experiencing the story the way she tells it. That's really nice. There's a lot of great imagery in this track. It's a very unique song. I don't think many people could pull it off as well as she did, so that's really good to see. Lots of nice layers on this one. Definitely a standout. Track 2, Chemtrails Over the Country Club, one that released as a single, already has a music video out as well. That's a really good music video if you haven't already seen that. I did a reaction to that one as well. Overlays are really nice on the hook of this track. I really like that. Very soft vocals otherwise throughout the track. Feels like a very innocent track. And I don't know, this one's weird because it doesn't necessarily have the strongest impact on me lyrically or her delivery wise or anything about her performance really, but for some reason it gets caught in your head, or it's replaying in my mind as I'm talking about it. It's a very catchy song in that way, and I think it's one that was a good choice as a single to really lead you into it, obviously with it being the title of the album as well, with this song, the title track, so it has to be a good one, and I think it did a good job of that. Track 3 is called Tulsa Jesus Freak. Smooth, soft tracked again. We kind of get that consistent theme for most of the album. Very nice overlays on these vocals as well. That definitely stood out to me. She says Arkansas, and someone in the comments in the reaction video said it was our Kansas, something like that, kind of change it and do a play on words. I'm not really sure. I honestly don't really understand that line too much. I don't know why she says it exactly like that. Maybe it's just an accent. I don't really know. But maybe there's a part of the story there that I can't personally understand. But it was interesting for sure. Also, the white hot forever thing that she's repeating. I believe white hot means angry, and I recall that now that I've heard it a couple times. That makes sense, but I don't know if it necessarily matches the track because this was a fairly soft song, and although she did have some anger sometimes in the lyrics, I guess it wasn't it didn't stand out to me as white hot, you know what I'm saying? So that was an interesting kind of take on it, but this was definitely a good hook on this track. I think one of the best hooks on here, so that's a good thing. Track 4, Let Me Love You Like a Woman, another one of the singles. Really grand piano chords to set the mood of this track. I like that. This was kind of my first real experience with Lana Del Rey because when I did this reaction video, I had not heard any of her albums, or really, I could heard a few songs and stuff, so this was an interesting track to kind of lead you into this album, but it makes sense on this one especially. Again, a very soft track, takes some elements from her older work and kind of puts it into this track. You can hear that for sure. Makes a pretty powerful track. It is in your face at moments, and I like that. That definitely stood out to me. The overlays are used at perfect moments on the track, and I think that she knows exactly what she's doing at this point in her career to be able to do something like that. And the outro on the track, that's a really, really nice outro. I think that's one of the best outros on this album. That's something she's shown in the past that she does. I didn't think we actually got that as necessarily as much on this album in particular, but that was interesting to see. Track 5, Wild at Heart. Beautiful vocals throughout this track. That was just a really nice sound. The way she says wild stood out to me. I thought that was really unique, but it made sense with the melody. I like that. There are points in this track where it kind of isn't smooth. It's just kind of kind of weird, just the way she put it together. I think it's very raw emotionally, so that's good. It helps, it definitely helps add to the emotion. And there's almost two moods within the track because the two instrumentals are very different. One where she is kind of remembering her wildness almost and drawing back to those memories and just letting that emotion go. And then the other part, she's like kind of calm and almost thankful that happened to her and it's past. I'm not sure about that exactly, but I thought it was interesting the way she was comparing those two. And it also samples one of her own tracks from Norman fucking Rockwell, How to Disappear. I thought that was really interesting. It stood out to me. I caught it in the reaction video. I didn't know exactly what track it was, but it is, a similar melody. So that's really interesting. Track 6 is called Dark But Just a Game. There's definitely some different mixing on this track. Instrumentals switching between two different sounds, like pretty different on this one. Whereas in the last track, it wasn't that different between the instrumentals, or it was like a slight switch. This was very different. They didn't really match up exactly at all. I think this is one of the best songs, in my opinion, because it really just draws me into this kind of moment and this emotion that I'm feeling a lot of different things as I'm listening to it. Because of that, it makes it very memorable and something that I see myself coming back to, just because of how many layers there are to this track that I wasn't even able to dissect yet, like after a couple of listens. It's something I'll have to come back to and really evaluate later. Track 7 is called Not All Who Wander Are Lost. She's definitely pushing her vocal limits on this one, and it's not like she's a stranger to that at all. She's done it plenty of times, but it's nice to hear it on this album, to have a moment like that. Very beautiful song for sure. Definitely an emotional journey on this track. It could really be about anything: love, life, anything that you want to connect this to. We've all kind of felt this kind of emotion, and that's what I like about this one, because we can all connect to it. There's a little bit of something for everybody here. And she's been able to do that in her tracks before. There's no doubt in my mind that she can kind of leave it open and have it be relatable to a lot of the audience, and I think this is one prime example of that. Track 8 is called Yosemite. Majestic track. I think that's a good way to describe it. Lots of layers to the lyrics, vocals, instrumental, even the mixing has a couple different layers going on. Really takes you on a journey. I do feel like as I'm listening through this, I'm taking a drive across the country. I feel that kind of energy that I think that she's exactly trying to portray on this track. I could be completely wrong on that, but that's what I felt. Seems like a love story, maybe about cheating with somebody or just a relationship in general. Kind of like the seasons changing part maybe was just in relationship to a relationship having different evolutions, different things happening. It could be anything like that. So again, it's kind of an open-ended idea. Track 9 is called Breaking Up Slowly. Really good feature from Nikki Lane here to add a different energy that Lana can't necessarily offer, because she has those light vocals, and this was a very powerful delivery, and I like that. They have very good chemistry on this track. I think that's really good, very important. The song's a lot more powerful than all the other tracks. That definitely stood out to me. It was kind of a significant switch. It's like, oh, we're going through soft tracks, Lana's just feeling herself, feeling emotions, stuff like that, and then boom, just a powerful track. Definitely a replayable song, one of the most replayable songs in my opinion, just because it has that energy that we can all kind of just feel. Track 10 kind of it's called Dance Till We Die. Kind of jumps into that slow sound at the beginning of the track, kind of back on this ranch setting that she mentions in the track. Like the sax mixed into it kind of brings the energy in. It's a nice different sound, talking about dancing, it makes sense. She mentioned like Louisiana, I think, and then brings in the sax, so I guess that makes sense. Just about kind of having fun with friends is what I was drawing from it. I think that we can all relate to those nights where we're just having fun, until the night dies, I guess. And the later part of the track definitely brings in a lot more energy, and we see that in the last couple of tracks that she's bringing more energy, which was a nice switch up at the end. Feels like this one was one of the most memorable songs because of all the different working in of different sounds, different energies, so I like that. Track 11, the last track's called For Free, featuring Zella Day and Wes Blood. Similar soft vocals to Lana from each of these artists, so it's nice to offer a slight difference but keep it in the same range. Just to, about noticing like the little things in life and just enjoying what you love. Each artist on this track kind of writes about different things that they love about their life, how they have to act to be happy. And then it's talking about this man on the street playing the clarinet who just, he doesn't care that nobody's listening. He's just playing his clarinet because that's what he loves to do. And I think that's why this track is my favorite, because that's a very relatable topic, and I think I love to hear in music because, I'm a guy who's trying to make YouTube into a career, which isn't an, orthodox career path at all. So it's just nice to hear someone talking about that, because I love what I'm doing. You hear it, the way I'm talking about this album. So I think that's why, I relate to this track so much. So, my overall thoughts. This is, there were a lot of different things going on throughout the tracks that I was talking about, so it's hard to kind of draw what I was feeling about it, and I'll point it to you guys like now, what I really see from this. Is there an overall theme? Yeah, there is. It's just kind of about Lana's journey in life and her experience, and I think she's done that plenty of times before. Does this stand out to me amongst Lana albums? No, not exactly, and I'll explain why as we go through this. It feels like it comes off the sounds that she's done before, and she's kind of made her own lane. I don't think it's easy to relate to her to any artist in particular. She kind of draws from like a country, older feel, but not necessarily in the total product. That's just kind of some of the influences. And she's created some songs similar to a lot of the songs on this album, but I think she's done better versions of most of this, except for a few exceptions, like White Dress is a very unique track, and Breaking Up Slowly was a unique track to me for sure. The first half of the album just drags on a little bit for me. I think when you get to that 7 or 8 range for tracks, I just felt like there was something missing. The energy just wasn't there. It wasn't exactly what it could have been. It could have been more, I feel like, and I don't know. It was a little bit disappointed in that. But did I still enjoy it? Yes, I did. Will I come back to it? That's always a question I can't really answer right away when I first listen to an album, because it's hard to, you have to give it some time to, see if you're thinking about those songs, they're getting caught in your head, anything like that. I'm not sure if this one will or not. I think I'll come back to it at some point for sure. I just don't know how much. Doesn't leave as much of an impact on me as some of her albums have. Born to Die, Ultraviolence, Norman fucking Rockwell, Boom, those are the big albums. That's what you think of when you think of Lana Del Rey. Will they think of Chemtrails Over the Country Club? I don't really think so, and that's not really a diss, of the work. I think the work is still pretty good, but, when you're coming off an album like Norman fucking Rockwell that's done crazy numbers amongst your fans, a fan favorite, it's hard, there's a lot of pressure on you because of that, and I don't think that necessarily gets to Lana or changed the outcome of this album or that much, but it's just in comparison, her fans are maybe holding her to a higher standard. Maybe I am. I don't know. I do feel like the production is not as good as usual on this album as some of her others. That could just be me. I don't know. I'm more drawn to production typically, and there wasn't anything about this that stood out too much other than a couple switches and sounds as the tracks went on. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it just suited her as well overall in the production styles. I think it could have made her vocals pop more with other stuff. But, it still made sense for this album, I think. And I do think a lot of people will be able to connect with this album. I think it's an emotional album. I think we all can draw different things from it, like I mentioned in the track list. I think it is really interesting, though, that this is like kind of a shorter album for her, but it almost felt as long to me as I was listening through. I just was like, I don't know, I felt like I had to set aside a lot of time to listen through this. I think it's just kind of one that you have to really commit to listening just to it and not be doing other things. And I think that, that's a good thing and bad thing for some people. So, yeah, overall, this is somewhat of a mixed review, I think. I think there's things that she could have done better. I think she did great. It's just kind of, I don't know exactly how I feel about it, but I'm going to give it a final rating of a 7 out of 10. For some people, that might seem low, but I really don't go above 7.5 or 8, unless it really, really stands out to me. So I think this kind of falls in the range that it's like, I know this is good, but I don't know, does it stand out comparatively to a lot of other things? Not really. It's just pretty good. So let me know what you guys thought of it in the comments, what your favorite song is, what you would rate it, anything like that. Let me know if you disagree with me. That's fine. You feel free to disagree with me. I don't care. But thank you guys for watching. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe for future Lana Del Rey reactions, comment, all kinds of stuff, content like that. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
People